Tragic one. It's come early this morning from the border between Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Andhra Pradesh woke up this morning to terrible, disastrous news of the Kurnool bus fire that killed at least 20 people. The visuals, this is from 2 o'clock in the morning. This morning, a massive fire gutting that entire bus. And then hours later, you can see that entire bus has been completely gutted. It was owned by a travel company called Kaveri Travels. A preliminary probe has been issued and it reveals that this was an accident that first caused it, which was the cause of the fire, and then eventually the people who were inside the bus, they were sleeping at that time. There were no emergency exits. There was only one entry and exit way, one door basically, and the people, of course, were completely caught off guard. What happened was a motorcycle first collided with the bus. Unfortunately, the collision happened at a point which was very close to the fuel tank of the bus. It opened the fuel tank of the bus, and then after that collision, of course, the entire bus went up in flames. There was resultant leakage of petrol and diesel. The friction there believed to have led to the fire, and then the fuel tank of the bus burst. It caught fire. It trapped all the passengers who were inside, who were sleeping obviously at that time of the morning. They were in deep slumber. They didn't know when the fire started, and they found it extremely difficult to exit because there was no emergency exit. There was only one entry and exit point, the door, the main door at the front of the bus, and the passageway, the narrow passageway between the two areas where the berths were, that was too narrow for the entire crowd of the bus to get out, and 20 people perished. This is not the first time. We saw something similar last week in Rajasthan as well, but I want to get you some reactions and then we'll open this up as well and try and get a sense of why these private buses cannot be reined in to better safety standards.
जो इंसिडेंट हुआ वो आधी रात में कोई टू व्हीलर आके बस को टक्कर लगाने से हुआ। कम से कम 20 लोग वहीं की वहीं डेथ हो गए। जो बचे से 20 लोगों को वहाँ तुरंत सरकार के तरफ से दवाखाना विखाना ले जाके उनका पूरा देखभाल कर रहे। ऐसी एक्सीडेंट के लिए एक हम लोग आंध्रा ट्रांसपोर्ट मिनिस्टर, कर्नाटका और तेलंगाना बैठ के विद आवर डिपार्टमेंट स्टाफ के साथ बैठ के आने वाला दिन में नहीं हुआ जैसा करना है।
Now, this particular bus, it belonged to Vemuri Kaveri Travels. It's got a laundry list of violations already. There was no business for this bus to be plying out on the roads. Official records accessed by CNN News 18 show that the bus bore initially was originally registered in Daman and Diu. This was in August of 2018. Then the registration of the bus itself was transferred to what is the Rayagada Regional Transport Office in Odisha. That was in April this year. The bus had valid documentation on all counts, but it also had reportedly 16 outstanding challans, traffic challans. Most of these challans were for entering no-entry roads, overspeeding, dangerous driving, and of course without carrying an adequate driver's license. So there were multiple violations, pending violations, for which this bus should not have been out on the roads in the first place. And despite that, this bus was flying between Hyderabad and Bangalore. And unfortunately, it led to this accident. My colleague Aneri was there at the spot right after this accident happened, and this is the report she filed.
In a devastating incident that has been reported near Kurnool in Andhra Pradesh, where we see that near about 19 people lost their life and 27 people managed to escape after a private travel bus traveling from Hyderabad to Bangalore caught under a massive fire at around 3 a.m. And now what we are learning that the incident occurred when the private travel bus rammed into a two-wheeler, and the two-wheeler was stuck under the vehicle, and that traveled for a certain distance, due to which we see that this massive fire accident had taken place. Well, also now the larger question remains is that where all the safety protocols in the bus were followed or not, because what we are also learning is that on this very bus number there are 16 challans which have been pending, and this is from January 2024 to October 2025, and most of them are for overspeeding, driving without driving license, in no entry, and many other reasons due to which this bus has been challaned for 16 times in last 1.5 years of time. Now, Andhra Pradesh Home Minister Anita has given a clarification stating that near about 19 people lost their life and 27 people managed to escape. However, they received minor injuries and they have been undergoing treatment at the hospital. And also at the same time, the Andhra Pradesh government has constituted a committee to investigate into this very incident that has taken place.
I want to go across to Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, former Delhi Police Commissioner, also been Regional Transport Commissioner. Thanks, ma'am, for joining us. Today we saw those tragic pictures coming out from Kurnool. 20 people have died in a sleeper AC bus. We saw something similar happen in Rajasthan just a few days ago. Many of these buses are bought, the body of the bus is bought and then they're retrofitted. There are all kinds of modifications that happen inside. They don't have the necessary safety guidelines, whether it's emergency exit doors or multiple breakable windows, multiple entry and exit points. This is a grave concern. Who should be held accountable and you know, how can we fix this problem? The problem of these private sleeper AC buses, which have no merit for rules and regulations, and particularly for when it comes to fire accidents such as this. Who should be held accountable for this, and what can be done to fix this problem?
By daily supervision, by daily homework. Prevention is a daily work. It's not. It doesn't have any holiday. And the culture of prevention, culture of preparation, culture of care, culture of sense of responsibility, sense of duty, conscientiousness, all these lead to prevention. And that means from the bottom to the top that there is a better supervision, greater leadership, greater collaboration and participation. Unless you do that, everybody has to be a performing civil servant or a public servant or wherever they are. So unless everybody plays a role from top to bottom, it doesn't happen. And whichever level fails you, such tragedies happen.
But I do want to ask you, ma'am, this particular bus had numerous traffic challans against it, whether it was for overspeeding, entry into no entry areas, rash driving. Despite 16 challans against this particular bus, this was allowed to ply on the road. So the question is why and who should be held accountable for this? The fact that a bus which had 16 traffic violations to its name was still out on the roads.
The police department, the transport department, where if they had so many challans, they should have cancelled the contract, cancelled the license, cancelled the driving license, cancelled so much. Then because there's a provision in the act where you can cancel driving license or you cancel the contract by which the bus is running. Why haven't they done it? And if it's 16 challans, then what has happened even on the prosecution? Let's look at the courts. Had those prosecutions gone to the court? And what did the courts do? You see, every level requires a sense of duty and responsibility. It's at every level. It's a blockchain. It's a blockchain of safety. And whichever level fails, it takes lives. And in this case, the courts need to be known whether these challans were in the court. And what did the courts do? Even the courts can order cancellation of such licenses. Did they do it? So we need to look at even the way the courts perform. The transport authority puts up these challans and gives them show cause notices of suspension of licenses. They can even do suspension of licenses. Why did they not do it?
I want to get one final word from you, and this is particularly concerning these AC sleeper buses. You know, the body or the shell of it is bought, the chassis is bought, and then they are retrofitted. There are all kinds of internal modifications that are done, after which there is no sort of vetting. No transport commissioner, no RTO comes and signs off on these internal modifications that have happened. And as a result of these internal modifications, all kinds of safety considerations are thrown out the window. There are no emergency exits or doors. There's only one entry and exit point, which is the main door. And even the gap between the areas where the berths are, the sleeping berths are, is too narrow for a crowd of 20 or 40 or 50 people to exit. God forbid there's an accident or a fire like what we saw today in Kurnool. Again, why is there no regulation for this? Why is there no accountability for this? And who should be held accountable?
When every department
couldn't jump out because A, there was only one entry and exit point at the front of the bus, and that too was completely jammed with these melted wires and melted rods, so no one could jump out of that. There was one lucky woman who managed to jump out because she broke the window right next to her. That was the only breakable glass in that entire bus, so she managed to escape to safety. But like I said, 20 people perishing for absolutely a man-made tragedy.